Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We're also becoming your daily transfer show. If you were for the very, very first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we are on Blue Sky too. I've got another special guest joining me for this daily transfer show. Joining me all the way from Tottenham on tour, all the way, and of course, friends of Ben and Sim, of course, over at We Are Tottenham TV. We love those boys so much. I've got Brian Dagul alongside me. Brian, how are you? Lovely to see you.
It's lovely to be back on the channel, Ricky. Great to spend some time with you. Great to discuss Spurs transfers. Never a dull moment. And good evening to everyone in the chat. I hope you're well as well, Ricky.
Bless you, mate. Thank you so much. I feel like I'm cheating on Ben and Sim. Please tell me you've told them you're cheating them for just one night, or have you told them for any more?
I spoke to Ben this evening and I said, I'm coming on the show. He goes, right, we're going to have to look in your contract and see if you're allowed. And I spoke to them. They love it when they see us together. We got very tight relationships, haven't we? So it's always a pleasure to be on the shows.
Yep, and those boys are amazing and we love them ever so much. Listen, if you're for the first time, I'd argue, listen, if you can, hit the like and subscribe button. The same for Brian over at Tottenham on Tour. They are closing in over on Tottenham on Tour on 10K. They're currently on 9490. Can we get them up to 10K? Let's see if we can do that. Listen, on this show, we'll be wrapping up the latest transfer news with Tottenham in a day that really, in Spurs world, has got busier as it has gone on. There's been some late night news, which I know many are thinking, is it really serious? Tottenham are reportedly looking at what will be a blockbuster of a move. It does come off for Rodrygo of Real Madrid. We'll be covering that on this show. We'll be discussing where we are in the latest of the soap drama of Morgan Gibbs-White, as there is still, as things stands, stalemate in relation to that potential move of the Nottingham Forest midfielder. We'll also be discussing Tottenham's potential move that now looks more on than ever for Bayern Munich midfielder PALHINHA. There are now suggestions Tottenham will be looking to complete the loan signing of the player. We'll be coming on to that and more in this show. We'll be discussing Tottenham's interest in Yoane Wissa, who has left the Brentford training camp earlier today in Portugal. We understand Tottenham have accelerated and intensified their interest over the course of the last 24 hours. We'll be coming on to that. And we have also had, get this, Brian, can you believe it? We had a concrete signing through the door. Tell us what you called him in the back room.
Lucas Bergvall. It's Lucas Bergvall Mark II.
We have got youngster over the line, Oliver Boast. I know many, pardon the pun, might not be boasting over the signing of Oliver Boast, but listen, we wish him all the best. 16 years old, signed for the mighty Tottenham. We wish him all the very, very best. And the thing what I would say at this point, guys, because these are becoming daily transfer shows, we'll just urge you, if you can, to make sure you're hitting the notification bell at the top of Last Word on Spurs' homepage. That will allow you to know every time we are going to go live. Please run up the likes as you always do for us. Hit that subscribe button and let's get going on the latest update of Tottenham in the transfer window. And we're going to start, if we can, Brian, with the on-off saga that is Morgan Gibbs-White to Tottenham and where we are in this. Now, it's important we stress at this stage that both the clubs are not commenting in relation to where a potential move is for the player. However, there has been suggestions in this last 24 hours that the Nottingham Forest owner, Evangelos Marinakis, is hopeful Man City will bid to sign Gibbs-White amid the interest from Tottenham. Now, as I've mentioned there, it is currently legal, so we don't know what the ins and the outs are that, but there are suggestions that the Forest chief claims Spurs' efforts to sign the attacking midfielder are of an illegal nature from what is being reported from that perspective, and that is what is currently being looked into. There is still a strong belief that Tottenham could resurrect the deal depending on the outcome of this legal challenge, and it is understood though Marinakis may have his knickers in a twist. Marinakis is fuming with Tottenham's conduct over this deal and is now in a position where he would ideally like the player to move to anywhere else but Tottenham. Give me your thoughts on this on-off transfer and where we stand for you, where the player is currently in limbo. We know we'll come on to it in a second. He's got a lot going on in his personal life at the moment, but how do you feel by the fact we're now, over nearly a week and a half, 2 weeks into this, still no movement from the day in which obviously Tottenham, we were understood, triggered that release clause?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if there was ever going to be a saga like this with any club, it was always going to be Tottenham, wasn't it? It was always going to be Tottenham. I am a massive, massive fan of Morgan Gibbs-White. I adore this player and think he would be absolutely brilliant for us. I'm still 100% confident that it's going to go through. I really am convinced that this is going to go through, but the delayed tactics in this have been quite extraordinary, haven't they? It's gone back and forth from pillar to post, and now we've got Marinakis saying that he wants him to go to City. I can't even see why City would want him right now. Maybe before their summer splurge, that you could see it, but I just don't see it now, and I can't see why Morgan Gibbs-White would want to go there when there's been so many players like a Calvin Phillips and other players that have gone to Man City and just not got the first team football, and their future has just stagnated at Manchester City. So I honestly believe this will go through. I've never known anything like it as a transfer saga, but I don't think Spurs have done anything wrong here. I don't think the board, whoever it is from Spurs channels, I don't think we've actually done anything wrong. We've met the release fee. How that's been found is one way or another. You can't really prove it. But I just can't understand why this is going on like this. Now it's with, like you said, I believe the Premier League and FA. Hopefully now we'll get closer to a resolution. But I can't see Man City coming in for it. And you got to say the Nottingham Forest owner is playing a blinder in delay tactics, isn't he?
Well, it's interesting, Brian, on this point. When you're looking at the situation now, by the fact that, what are we now? We're a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks into what looked like at the time a very straightforward situation where Tottenham triggered the release clause of the player. I think, again, this all comes back down to, as we understand, the knowledge and common knowledge as to how that release clause was found out. I think it does appear to be the case at the moment that this is, as you've said, with the Premier League. And at the moment, the fact of no news, I don't know anymore if no news is good news, because what it does appear for us is that it does feel there's a significant delay now in relation to what we're trying to do, Brian. I think that's been the biggest concern for a lot of Tottenham fans I speak to. There was such an excitement about the fact that we got Kudus in, made sure that he was going to make it for the start of the pre-season friendlies. Look, and we saw at the weekend in Reading the game and how he played in that one and the fact of the impact he made. And I think was that degree of feeling that if we were going to get Gibbs-White over the line as well in the space of 48 hours, that lift that would have all given Tottenham fans about the fact, are Tottenham changing under Daniel Levy? There's been a lot of suggestions, as Brian, that there's this obviously nature of pretty much a huge seismic investment coming into the club. The fact Daniel Levy might be stepping slightly away from the main scenes at Tottenham, potential new ownership, potential investment in the stadium naming rights. But the fact that we're nearly 2 weeks on and the fact that we haven't moved forward in any other player from what we're understanding, how concerned are you that the Gibbs-White situation is now really delaying Tottenham in making their moves in this market where, with all due respect, teams around us are strengthening?
When this happened, and obviously the two deals went back to back, like you said, Ricky, I think all Spurs fans were like, oh my God, Spurs are moving quickly, Spurs are doing things. And not only that, what was the highlight for me is Spurs have actually gone into two Premier League clubs and actually said, we're going to take one of your best players, not a player whose contract's running down, not a player who they're trying to get rid of. We're going to come in and take your best players. And it was moving so quickly, and everyone, even myself, was like, okay, here we go. This is getting interesting. I also think, I started to think, and I still do, that with Lange doing the Morgan Gibbs-White deal completely under the radar, no one having a clue about it. The media, it came out of the blue. I thought, do you know what? Lange is actually doing things under the radar. He's done it with youngsters, but this would have been a big play to get out of a club. And I thought, you know what, maybe we're moving in the shadows. And I was also thinking, maybe this is being actually a good cover so we can go get things up and running. But the fact that we haven't been moving, and you look at it, Forest are moving, other Arsenal are moving, and all the others are making moves. There's still 41 days of the window left. Yep. And this is probably the calmest I've ever been at this stage of the window. And I do think things will get done. This season, I really do. But the longer this goes on and the longer the silence is, the doubts start creeping in, don't they?
Yeah, of course. That's
the issue.
And I think, again, when you look at the player situation, which I think we'll come on to now, look, the suggestions that Marinakis would favour the player going anywhere else but Tottenham. I think that in itself is a concern when you've got one of an owner of that ilk that pretty much it appears from reports that are indicating it does feel a feeling now that he wants to move him to anywhere else but Tottenham, and the fact that we've got this ongoing situation that we don't quite know what is happening again just adds to that noise and speculation that until we do know what is actually going on, noise like this will be created. Unfortunately, we are part of that noise, right? I mean, we don't know what's happening. We're only going off reports that are being brought to us here. But I mean, the key aspects of the matter that we do know factually is that Gibbs-White did not go on or that tour with relation to Forest. Yeah. And I think it's key to also put out there that it's quite a stressful time in his personal life. He's got a newborn baby on the way, wife is heavily pregnant, a potential move to London. I think it's fair to say, Brian, for anyone in their life that is going for a career change, to a different location, and on top of that, a pregnancy with his wife, must be quite a stressful time for the player as well, having to all go through this right now.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, going on with this Marinakis and wanting any other club, the bit I'm not getting, we've paid the release fee. We've offered to pay the release fee. How, if another team comes in, hopefully Spurs will match the offer. If it comes to giving him an extra 5-10 million, if that's the case, which we've been hearing as well, if Thomas Frank really wants this player and there's money available, use it to get the player so he can go on the tour, come here. But obviously, football transfers are very intricate. And then, obviously, you mentioned about his wife and his high-risk pregnancy. I actually commend Morgan Gibbs-White for being like he's been. He has not kicked off a fuss, which you got to remember, he's a fan favourite at Nottingham Forest. And remember how we went when Harry Kane tried to do this for Manchester City, and it hurts their reputation and it hurts their affinity with the club. So I can understand that. And then you look at it and you look at what is going on in his personal life, and we can only imagine what this has been like since the news broke about the here we go and he's coming, for his family, his kids, his wife going through this pregnancy. The guy's got a human being. I think the way this has been done, obviously his family comes first, his wife comes first, and the bit I don't get is this came out on Monday when he didn't go on tour. Would he have gone on the tour with his wife being through a high-risk pregnancy? I mean, this is where we are as well. I think all the news that's coming out from all different places, with all contradicting different. He's on the plane. He's not on the plane. He's going. He's not going.
Yeah,
it's not doing anyone any good, and everyone's believing different things. I've said to myself, the only ones I'm believing now are Ornstein and Spurs or Forest when it comes to this transfer. Yeah. But we got to remember, he's a family man. His wife's going through something, and I don't think he should be forcing through a move or kicking off a fuss. He's got his wife and his family to look after. That's the most important thing always.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation at this stage is that Gibbs-White is expected to join up with Nuno Espirito Santo and the squad in Portugal later in the week. And as we understand at the moment, nothing has changed in regards to any potential move to Spurs, despite the suggestions that are coming out that Marinakis would ideally like to sell the player to anyone else but Tottenham. But I think the key thing is that, as I've said in previous episodes about Gibbs-White, is that Forest have been trying to negotiate a new contract for him, Brian, for the last 18 months. So the argument is, if the guy is not willing to sign a new deal, then surely it's in the favour of the club to sell the player, get the maximum amount of fee possible. Again, it goes back to this release clause, which again, as you've said there, we were understood to believe they've triggered it. But, given the nature of what's happened over the last 2 weeks, it's a case of how they've triggered that and where that'll just come from appears to be the big problem. But for you in your mind, your gut feeling still is that this deal will get done. Is that you still feel exactly the same? You haven't changed your mind on that?
No, I've been doubling down, trebling down. I'm putting a morning tweet out every day of positivity. I have doubled down so much on this that if this goes wonky, I'm going to have to go out of office on my Twitter because I've got a lot of heat coming my way. But no, I'm actually, honestly, I've never been so relaxed or so confident that a deal will go through. And I really hope it does, because I think he is a fabulous player and will be brilliant in our midfield in a Thomas Frank system. I'll be delighted to get him.
Okay. Final question for you, if you don't mind me asking, Brian.
Yeah.
If we don't get a decision this week and we come to Sunday night and we're still in the exact same boat, What do you want Spurs to do? Is he still the priority for you? Or do you think we should be looking at other options?
Listen, we should be looking at what we should be doing right now is looking at other options for other positions. If Morgan Gibbs-White is the main person that Frank and Spurs want for this key role at Spurs, then go and get him and do what you can. Obviously, you need to have a backup in case it does fall through. But I don't care if this one takes till deadline day. I don't care. I just want him to be here. And Spurs should be, or I hope they are, looking at other targets for other areas that need strengthening.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to those other areas very shortly. I think, again, it comes back to the fact we know, Brian, I know you're a big Thomas Frank fan. We know that he's wanted the player for a very, very long time. He wanted him back in his Wolves days as well. Yep. The player himself, we know he's remained professional to date. He's not a guy that has shown in any past really to be of any disgruntlement or to really not attend training or to in any way kind of kick up a fuss about making a move. I mean, that's the thing I wanted to ask you as well, which again is maybe difficult to ask at the moment given the nature we don't quite know what is happening. But again, to be very truthful on this, that we saw with Kudus, and he said that in his first Spurs interview, he only wanted Tottenham. Yep. You know, we know there was numerous clubs in for Kudus, but he made it very, very clear for him, Tottenham is where he wanted to be.
Yep.
How much do you think Gibbs-White may need to show that approach? And with all due respect, try and push for the move personally from his end, or do you think that's nothing to do with it at this stage? Just because, again, as we've said, he's with the Premier League. Doesn't matter what Morgan Gibbs-White is going to do. Maybe out of his hands to some degree on this.
I think with this, with Kudus, I think this was seen before the end of the season, wasn't it? I think since Potter's been in and whatever, the longer the season dragged on, these rumours came out about Kudus and leaving. And that was what West Ham wanted as well, with Forest obviously trying to keep this player for everything. And this link being so fresh. I do think we have time on our hands with this one. And would I like Morgan Gibbs-White? If it gets to the beginning of the season or before the Super Cup, maybe there will be a chance that he pushes things through. Let's just wait and make sure his wife is, or fiance, I think it is in a better place and out of the hospital, and then can focus on football. Yep. But I think if we get nearer to the end of the window and it's still not happened, then I think you might see Morgan Gibbs-White kick off a fuss.
Yeah, well, listen, I think the right thing to do is we wish his wife all the best, going through a high-risk pregnancy at the moment. Must be stressful for the player as well and what's going on. We wish her all the best with the pregnancy. We hope, like I say, all being well, baby comes along, Morgan comes to Tottenham and the baby comes out with a lovely Tottenham baby grow.
Exactly.
Right on the back. That's all we want. Listen, we'll keep you updated. If there's any more movement on that, we will certainly let you know. We are going to squeeze in our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. We've got over nearly 6,500 of you that are watching this show live. Thank you so much for your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. I'm joined by Brian over at Tottenham on Tour. Please give that a like and subscribe as they close in on the big 10K over there. I know what you're thinking. Why is Ben and Sim not here? At some point, we can definitely make it, the four of us. I'm sure Ben and Sim, we love them very much. Brian will be back on there, I'm sure, very, very soon. Let's move on to what appears to have been the blockbuster, I'd say, headline news of the day, depending on how seriously you want to take the news. I do know out there there's a sense that this would be very difficult to see or to happen, but Tottenham Hotspur have joined the race to sign the Real Madrid winger Rodrygo. Daniel Levy, we understand, is going to attempt to use... I know you're laughing, Brian. I'm going to ask you about this. His good relationship with Real Madrid to sign him for less than 90 million. So just to repeat that again, Daniel Levy is going to attempt to use his good relationship with Real Madrid to sign Rodrygo for less than 90 million. Now, the reports are suggesting that Tottenham want to go big after, of course, winning that Europa League and make a statement signing. And the one thing Thomas Frank was reportedly promised was investment and more investment. And apparently that investment is going to come with the signing of Rodrygo. This is from the Spanish report AS Diario. Doesn't give any indication as to how clear Rodrygo would like to come to Tottenham, which probably is the biggest, you'd say, maybe sticking point of this deal if we actually get to that point. But, Bri, give me your thoughts. Is this even worth a conversation? I know many are laughing about this. You're laughing. Can we take this seriously?
The good relationship, you got to laugh at what people say, the good relationship where they take our best players and we get nothing. Is the Gareth Bale special relationship trigger about to come, I think, 12 years later? In my honest opinion, There's more chance of me signing for Spurs this window than Rodrygo. In all honesty, there's more chance Daniel Levy offering me a contract than Rodrygo.
When you're next over? When you coming back over?
November or September if it's a bad window.
I mean, he's a very talented player, Rodrygo. There's no getting away from that. And a player that we know has been courted by a lot of high-profile clubs around Europe. You know, he played 30 games for Madrid last season, created over 50 chances. In all comps, that is. 6 goals, 5 assists. These stats really don't do him massive justice because he is a very, very special player. A player that many maybe are surprised Real Madrid are looking to cash in on him. But, you know, given the nature of what the Premier League can offer, the demands in terms of the wages that are out there in certain Premier League clubs, I'm probably talking about a lot of clubs outside of Tottenham when I talk about wages, given what we're playing generally at the moment, and whether we would actually make that step up. But, you know, it would be an absolute statement signing, Brian. I suppose the question a lot of people would be asking is whether, if we were to try and go towards even near that kind of money involved for the player, you know, where does that leave the other areas that we need to cover during this window?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just checked. He's on £202,000 a week. At Real Madrid, apparently.
I thought you were going to say an hour for a second.
No, so he's £2,000 above our threshold. Deal off. We won't pay the 2,000. That is the thing is, I think with all these left winger talks, it then harpers onto his Sonny potentially leaving. I just cannot see us paying this sort of money, and I cannot see. And I don't mean this in a bad way to Spurs. I can't see him wanting to join Tottenham when there's been other big clubs. That are touting for him, where he's used to regular season in, season out Champions League football. Can Spurs offer that at the moment? Not really. Obviously, we've got Champions League this season. He is an exciting winger. He is versatile. He would be an X factor for us. But I just can't see it. I mean, you look at him, when we come on to PALHINHA, we're hearing 1 in, 1 out for him. We can stump up 90 million for Rodrygo, apparently.
Yeah, it does feel that it's an unrealistic one, if we're going to be brutally honest with you. We can dream. There has been suggestions, and I think it's more laughs than actually being generally serious, that Rodrygo's partner has already followed 4 London-based makeup artists. Tell you what,
it's going
days, have you ever known a situation, Brian, where we're now chasing up to find out what removal vans are linked to our players to see, or potential signings to see if that is a potential goer for transfers. Now we're finding out and we're tracing down the latest removal vans in the London-based area to see who they are now going to be following on Instagram or on social media to get a gauge of if they're signing. And we're looking at the latest London-based makeup artists. I mean, ever known a time like this, Brian? All your time supporting Tottenham?
This is. It's not about what the ITKs and the journalists report now. It's following them and their partners at Instagram to see if they follow places round about the rougher proximity of the club they're going to join. And if they do that, it's all good. It's all good. That's where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we'll keep you posted on news on Rodrygo. Look, I think there's no doubt about it. If Tottenham were to scoop the player, it would be an absolutely fabulous signing. But the reality is, I think you have to be honest and say, like you said there, Brian, I think there will be other clubs, unfortunately, that will be, and I don't like using this word, but, you know, I say bigger than Tottenham, but clubs that can maybe offer the player more of potential success. But then again, who knows what Thomas Frank can bring to Tottenham. I just think, as you said earlier, the wages that he's going to be on, I think that would take us to another transformative level, really, if we're having to pay that kind of salary, and what that does mean to the knock-on to the rest of the squad, we'll have to see. And again, I think the key thing you mentioned there, Brian, going on to the next player, and what we have heard suggestions at the moment with regards to how stacked Tottenham are, when you look at central midfield, we're hearing suggestions at the moment that it would be 1 in, 1 out. And that brings us nicely onto a story that it does feel at the moment is growing day by day. It does appear to have some legs. And that, of course, is the potential signing of João PALHINHA at Bayern Munich. Now, friend of the show, Alistair Gold, has said Tottenham would need to get at least one central midfielder out of the door before pushing through any interest in signing the Bayern Munich midfielder, with Spurs currently having 5 players on the books in that area. Now, we are hearing other suggestions that Tottenham's preference would be to sign the player on a season-long loan deal as opposed to looking to sign the player permanently at this stage. And that would potentially include either an option or an obligation to buy. We are hearing reports that at the moment, when you're looking at Tottenham's midfield in general, the player we understand that is most likely to depart at the moment is Yves Bissouma. His, of course, contract expires at the end of next season. And I think when you are looking at the moment that Tottenham were at one point in what we were hearing, advanced negotiations over the contract for Rodrygo Bentancur and extending him, it does feel that with relation to this particular transfer, Brian, that it may well be kind of one in, one out. And I'd like to ask you, just from your perspective on PALHINHA, from what you've seen of him, again, at his time at Fulham, he had a couple of really good seasons there, which got him that move to Bayern Munich. Would PALHINHA for you be the right fit of profile Tottenham are looking for in that number 6 area?
I think he would be brilliant for the number 6 area. I really, really do. We need some experience in that area. And this guy is that. Like you said, 2 great seasons at Fulham where his stats for what he has to do were exceptional for what he was doing for Fulham. We need some experience. It would be great for Archie Gray and players like him, Papa Massessar, to work under him and see how he plays. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. I actually think it's a smart move doing the loan as well. Take him on loan for a year, use that year to either decide to keep him or use that year to find the 6 that Frank actually wants. I think he ticks all the boxes. People are going on about his age. I think with a loan, there's absolutely no risk. And also, we need experience. And then experience isn't always, okay, you're 25 and you've been playing since you're 16. We need some very deep experience that can do jobs and get the job done. And he is one of them. He is definitely one of them. And even if we did buy him, I think we've got to move away from this, he's got no resale value. We need players to come in and do the job now.
I agree.
Take us to that next level, build. So when they do leave, someone else comes in. So I would take PALHINHA all day long. And if it's a loan, I think that is a much better deal for Spurs and gives other funds for the wages. But yeah, I don't see one bad thing about signing him.
I have to agree. I think, such a big thing you said there, Bri, is around the fact that in the past with Tottenham, or certainly in the recent years, I think bar Solanke, a lot of the players Tottenham have signed, and maybe you put also Mickey Van Der Ven into that camp where we're saying they're signing for now. A lot of the players Tottenham have signed, really, let's be honest about it, has been based on what they're going to offer us in the future. The likes of Gray, the likes of Bergvall, Yang, for example.
Yep.
Kota Sakai, maybe to some degree, although they've got higher hopes, Kota Sakai is going to come in and actually feature in the first team. I just wonder now with what we saw of Vuskovic at Reading, and I know again it's only one game, how that may affect his potential standing in the team. But I think you mentioned something so important there, that why can't we just bring in players for the now and not be so caught up about the fact they haven't got a resale value? Why do they need a resale value? I think the thing with PALHINHA, from what we saw at Fulham, is he will literally just do that job, that dirty work of being a number 6. He'll bring the ball forward as well. He can carry the ball with real panache. He can carry the ball with pace as well. This is the player that has got a very much profile that fits what Tottenham are looking for right now. And obviously, after letting go Højbjerg, we haven't really got a similar profile that can actually offer us the opportunity of someone that literally breaks up play, feeds it out to the wing players, and allows them to do their job. And my concern would be that you look at some of the other options that have been linked out there in terms of number 6s. Adam Walton, for example. We love Adam Walton. The reality is, as we know with Palace, Palace, given their window at the moment, the fact they may be losing Eberechi Eze, I think that's, again, something they're going to have to be keeping an eye on. To lose Adam Walton in a season where they've got European football coming up, you're just not going to prize Adam Walton away from Palace unless you're going to go there with a ridiculous offer of 100 million plus. It isn't going to happen with PALHINHA. He's a player that, from what we understand, he would cost around, if you're looking at a permanent deal, the £26 million mark. But I think you make a very good point. Taking him on loan, maybe it negates that in terms of gamble. Look at him for a season, see what he's like. Maybe it's an obligation, maybe it's an option to buy. But at least we've got an opportunity to see what the player looks like before committing and putting a fee down. I mean, all you'd be covering in is the wages. I'm sure he's not on small wages, but for a club like Tottenham, as I said at some point, Bri, we're going to have to change that wage structure if we are to, as a club, in Thomas Frank's words, not our words, Thomas Frank's words, compete on all 4 fronts.
Yeah, again, Ricky, I'll go back to what we're saying about, we got these players, we keep building for the team for tomorrow whilst everyone's building for today. And you think about, we've got all these youngsters that are coming through, and we do have an incredible crop of youngsters coming through. How are they going to learn and get the education experience they need without playing alongside players with great experience that can show them the way? I think he'll come in, he'll do well. And you look at it, when very similar player, positionally wise, I love Wilson Palacios when we signed him. from Wigan. I loved him. I think people will talk about Peter Crouch and that goal got us Champions League. I actually think the signing of Wilson Palacios got us Champions League because we needed that destroyer, that enforcer. And all Wilson Palacios was great at what he did. Shield the defence, win the ball, put in the tackles, give it to the creative ones. And that's exactly what PALHINHA does. And I think it's such an important position in football nowadays. Obviously, it wasn't used in Ange Postecoglou's system, but Thomas Frank does like to use deep line in midfielders. And we got to look at who we can actually bring in. And we don't know if this investment's coming. We don't know how much money we've got. So when you're bringing in a player, do you want to bring in a player for 25, 30 plus that may or may not work with no Premier League experience? Or do you want to bring a guy in like PALHINHA, who's done it at Premier League level, who's done it in international level with Portugal, and can literally just come into the Premier League, come back to London, know this league, no language barrier, no problem, settle in, no problem. I think he's perfect for us.
Yeah, and again, you look at his actual record for Fulham. He made 79 appearances for them. He having almost actually joined Bayern back in 2023, only for the London side to fail to find a replacement in that window. Mm-hmm. He also played 45 minutes in the dead rubber final group stage defeat against Benfica. This obviously Mum's Club World Cup in the US. He's a player that he has not been helped in terms of injury. He suffered a torn muscle fibre in his right adductor while training with the Portuguese national team. That kept him out for a period. So I think I can understand why some fans might be concerned about maybe being susceptible to injury, but you're always going to have that gamble. I think we've seen this in the past where we've signed players that, Odebear, for example, I know obviously when we look at last summer, all the noise around getting Neto through the door, if you remember, Brian, everyone wanted Neto. What did Tottenham do? They ended up going for Odebear. Odebear was out for, I think, 3-4 months. So, and Neto stayed fit. So again, I think the really important thing about this window compared to, I look at last summer's window, is it's really important, Brian, that we're buying the players for now. And I think, no matter what people's thoughts are around Postecoglou, in his time at Tottenham, I think what he said was very, very telling in his final press conference as Spurs head coach. When he left that press conference after the Brighton game, his key things were Romero needs to be staying at the club. He's a key player. And also this club now, whilst it's great to bring young players in, they need to be focusing on experience. And I think, this window, hopefully, by the fact Kudus has come in, Gibbs-White, we have to see how that's going to pan out. And by the fact João PALHINHA is being linked, does that give you the confidence, Brian, the fact that you're seeing this kind of profile player link? Because I tell you why, I can see a lot of fans right now I see on social media getting very agitated, getting very frustrated and angry by the fact that we are coming to the middle of July. We are off to Korea in less than a week or two. Mm-hmm. And we've only obviously got, at the moment, as things stands, just one extra player. And what I mean by extra player is, obviously someone of a high-established Premier League mould in Kudus through the door. Can you understand that frustration at the moment? Or do you think, given what's going on with Gibbs-White and this potential move for PALHINHA, fans do need to hold their breath? And I'm talking to someone here, can I just say, that, how many years have you been protesting against Daniel Levy and co, can I just say?
October the 28th or 26th will be my 18th year. My 18th year. But the Levy out in me will be able to legally drink again. That's how long. It's mad when you think about it. What I will say, when you mentioned about the kind of players we've been linked with, if we look at the right wing position, it was Brian Mbeumo, Semenya, and Kudus, obviously. And I think there may have been another couple, but they're the kind of calibre of players you want to see linked to come into Tottenham. And they've done very, very well to get Kudus. They've done very well to get him. I think he's going to be a very good player for us. Love what we saw against Reading. And gives us that. We've all wanted that player that will drive with the ball, haven't we? That will be direct, flair, take him on. And I think we found him in that. I am happy with the kind of quality of player that we've been linked with constantly. It's certainly been a step up, but now it's just getting them through the door. It's getting them through the door. Like you said, we're going to Korea now. We're getting nearer and nearer. It's less than a month till the Premier League starts.
Yeah.
It's only a few weeks. Like I said, the tour, and then we've got PSG.
We've got a Super Cup final coming up.
Yeah, mate, we're going to win a trophy in his first official game. And you look at it, and we are here. We've got to remember now that this season we're going into the Champions League. We need quality. We need quality. We look at the team. They did brilliant to get in the Europa League. They got brilliantly to win it. But now we all know the difference in quality from the Champions League to the Europa League, and Spurs need players to reflect that.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, again, we I feel like I say this every week, Brian. It feels like it's a big week in store, right? I feel like there needs to be some movement, some momentum that gives us confidence that this window is a window of genuine building of hopefully established, if it's Premier League players or international experienced players. Is that also key, Brian? Look, Premier League is one thing, but if you had confidence that they're bringing in established international players that have that experience, that know-how, that winning culture, is that what you feel is more needed than anything at the moment?
100%. 100%, Ricky. You and me are so aligned this evening. Normally are, but tonight we're this is what we need, because also you look at it, when it comes to it, the January window, the summer window after, players want to come and play with other quality players that stand a chance in obviously trying to win things. And we keep hearing, and we heard from the interview with Vinay and Daniel, that we want to go to the next level. We want to do this. We want to do that. Well, we'll show it. Show it. Now, like I said, there's still 41 days of the window left. Yep. And it goes one of two ways. It either goes absolutely exceptionally and we have an absolute incredible next 6 weeks, or it's same old, and come the end of the window, there'll be frustration again.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to know, Brian? Again, I've asked this question actually before to a number of other, obviously, contributors to the show. Do you think we're going to know by the end of this window what Tottenham want to be? This is the first time with takeover or investment, naming right talks, whichever way you want to address it. It looks like naming rights at the moment. Yep. It's the first time that I've actually seriously, genuinely thought this time it has legs. Okay. And this time, and mainly because there's been such change at the boardroom level, obviously with the outs and people coming in. Yep. You look at Thomas Frank and him being able to bring in, I think it's 8 coaches he brought in, or around 8 coaches. Yes, Spurs managers have never done that. No. Never, ever. It's been like 2 or 3, or we mix and match, or we've lost managers because they haven't got their coach. There's just so much change going on away from the pitch that I just, for some reason, it's in my head that there's got to be something in it. And I just really hope there is. I really hope there is. And we'll see by the end of the year. This is Daniel Levy's words are either going to be heralded as well done, you've done what you said and we're acting like a big club, or they're going to come back and haunt him badly because it's his own words. Yeah, agree. Look, we're going to squeeze in our next break of the show for our listeners and audio. I've got nearly over 9,000 that are watching the show live. Thank you so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. We are trying to run these daily transfer shows for them. We've got enough daily transfer content to bring to you. Of course, in the world of Tottenham, it feels like every day there's always something going on with Spurs, and we'll try and bring you the latest news up to date if we can. I'm joined by the wonderful Brian Dagul over at Tottenham on Tour. We encourage you, please, if you can like and subscribe to there, and of course keep liking and subscribing to here. Please share this out to a wide range Spurs audience. Thank you so much for all your incredible support for us in the live chat for the show. Thank you. Kate and Jimbo, we love Kate and Jim. Thank you so much, Kate, for your very nice contribution to the show. THFC Till We Die says, great to see Brian here. Will the Gibbs-White saga ever end? What's your guys' thoughts on the matter? Well, I'll say to you, we have summed that up in the first part of the show. Brian feels quite fairly confident the move will get done. Yep. I think I'm Brian. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, talking to you about this stuff. You must think I'm not saying this compared to you. For me, I am concerned by the nature of just how quiet it is at the moment. And again, I said this earlier, I do appreciate there's an ongoing potential legal situation which basically forbids the clubs from being able to maybe come out and give us an update of where we are. But my worry is that the longer it goes on, the more concern I have for the deal itself. And also my concern I have is around the fact that what other players are Tottenham looking at? Because my worry is, what is the drop-off to the alternative from Gibbs-White to the rest of what Tottenham are looking at? Because I think Gibbs-White is, in my opinion, look, again, I don't know if everyone agrees, I think he's such an exceptional player. He can play a magnitude of positions. He's a player that, in my opinion, with Frank coming in and being able to develop him, like you've seen him being able to develop a number of players. You go and see what he did, even with Damsgaard at Brentford, for example. You just get the feeling that if Frank can get his hands on Gibbs-White, I think he's going to be able to potentially unlock him to that next level. Now, talk about players that Frank is aware of and that he's worked with and could potentially have a reunion on the shores with. We will have to see Yoane Wissa. Yoane Wissa, it's been a busy day in the transfer market on Yoane Wissa. So just to bring you up to where we stand on this target for Tottenham, who has been a target we understand for a lot of this transfer window. we have had confirmation from David Ornstein that Brentford have rejected an offer from Newcastle United to sign the Brentford star. A proposal that was worth 25 million was not backed by the North East club's pursuit, which is understood to be ongoing. It is expected that a formal bid in excess of 30 million is being prepared. However, Spurs are also keen and have intensified their talks over this last 24 hours. Now, key to also bring to you that Wissa has left Brentford's camp. They are currently on tour in Portugal, where they're going to face a couple of sides as they're out there. And Wissa has, as mentioned, left that tour. He's going to be expected to hold direct talks with the director of football, Phil Giles, who, as we understand, has got a trio of clubs that is going to be being courted on. Spurs, not the only club interested, as we mentioned, Newcastle being the key one, having that bid rejected. And also Nottingham Forest are now seeing as potential also a club that he could maybe join, depending on how that does work out. But it does feel that at the moment, Newcastle are top of the queue. Tottenham have certainly got an interest in the player. I think it's important to mention that all three clubs can offer the player European football. We understand that Wissa has got a keen interest to maybe reunite with Frank, having obviously worked with him, of course, at Brentford. And, of course, like a number of players at Brentford, can't get away from this. The way he's developed them, trained them, taken them on to the next level. I'm sure for Wissa, that'll be a keen interest. But I suppose at Newcastle United, there might be that opportunity to be guaranteed, you maybe arguably feel, with their squad, first-team football. What's your gut for you on this, Brian? Do you feel Newcastle have got that edge, given the fact they've made that bid, it's rejected, but talks are ongoing?
Well, first of all, isn't it amazing that a player can leave a training camp to come back home and discuss transfers? Because, of course, if Gibbs-White had got on the plane, that's it, done, game over, it can't happen. But like you said, Wissa under Thomas Frank, he's Premier League proven, worked with Frank, knows what he needs to do, is in London, 28 years old again. People are saying, he's last year, his contract, what's his value? If Thomas Frank wants him, let's try and get him. Obviously, I don't think 50 million is the right price. But if it's under that, I don't see what could go wrong with it. Like you said, the way Thomas Frank has developed him, Shada, and Wemo, we could go through the list with Thomas Frank. This guy comes in and is just hand in glove for everything Thomas Frank needs. I think he's a very dangerous player. Newcastle have stolen ahead, haven't they? But is Thomas Frank London and Champions League? Well, Newcastle could offer him Champions League, can't they? It's a tough one. And what does this say about Isak? Is Isak off? But obviously Liverpool now got Etitike. We heard that he wants London or Frank, and now it's more he wants Newcastle. Newcastle have lost a few targets this summer, haven't they? I think they'll be. I think Newcastle will be desperate to get this sorted out. But I think this is something we should definitely be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, Brentford really, bright at this point. They're being picked apart, aren't they? Lost the manager, lost a number of key players. I mean, from our understanding, from what we're hearing out there, they were very, very reluctant to even allow Wissa to even have talks with other clubs because they've lost Boomer at the same time. I mean, do you feel it's going to take really, again, quite a sizable offer? The fact they've knocked 25 million down. Again, it comes back to what Spurs have spent so far. They've done over 55 million on Kudos. Morgan Gibbs-White, that's potentially going to be 60, 65 million, depending on how that works out. If we get a deal over the line. PALHINHA, if it's only a loan, then obviously you're saving yourself on a transfer fee there. But Wissa, that deal looks like it's going to go over 30 million now to get it done. I mean, does that feel for Tottenham with what's going on at the moment unlikely they're going to be able to battle with Newcastle for that particular fee?
I think they can. It's a case of will they. That's always the issue with Spurs. What I will say with you, like you said at the beginning, Brentford are such a superbly run football club. And I've got a lot of respect for how they treat their fans, the community, what they do as a club, how they've survived in the Premier League. Obviously, my love for Thomas Frank, now we've got him. I hope they don't go down this season. I worry for them if Wissa goes as well. But the way Brentford churn out these players, don't know if Keith Andrews will be able to do what Frank and his staff did the whole time. But at 30 million, we look at it now, 30 million is nothing in transfers, is it? It's now like 60 million is like the average player cost. So that kind of money, 28 years old, scored a lot of goals for Brentford last season, a lot of goals in a season where they said, with Ivan Toney gone, they're done for. They won't score goals.
Yeah.
I think he comes in and he offers something completely different to any of our strikers do.
Yeah,
and that's if Richie goes as well, Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, even with Richarlison at the moment, from what we understand, Frank seems to be of the opinion that he would like to see more of Richie. He said that last season he was so pivotal to the club in terms of that, obviously, Europa League final. And I think he just feels that if they can somehow, Brian, this is obviously going to be the key with Richarlison, if they can find a way to deal with his injury problems, then there's a player there. But the problem is, Brian, we've seen with Richarlison, from the moment he's come in, and I have to just say, I know many people have blamed Ange Postecoglou for a lot of the injuries Tottenham had last season. That's a separate debate, I think. But the key thing with Richarlison is, I think what we've seen consistently, really, through his time, even when Conte was here, we just could not keep the guy fit, Brian. That's the problem. And you know what? On his day, Richarlison, he's worthy. He can score goals. There's no doubt he can score goals. I think we've seen this with Richarlison in a Tottenham shirt. He's not had a terrible record, but it's just about keeping him fit. And availability, sometimes is the best ability. Is that what really you think is weighing against Richarlison this summer of staying? The fact, can we keep him fit?
It's got to be that, hasn't he? I mean, if we look at it, the first season under Ange, when he came in through Christmas, New Year, the guy couldn't stop scoring. He was scoring week in, week out, and was doing really, really well. And then, by hook or by crook, here comes an injury. And that's the problem. We just cannot keep him fit. He wasn't in the squad on Saturday, was he? Because they said they want to give him an extra week's training. You just can't depend on him. And when we're going into 4 competitions, we need players we can depend on. Solanke, who obviously didn't get injured at all, came and picked up a couple of knocks with us last season. We can't go into a season.
If you remember, Brian, when we first signed Solanke, wasn't he injured in the first week?
He played against Leicester as well, didn't he? And then he was out. I think of Wissa, I think people said he scored a lot of goals, not one penalty last season. I think he definitely scored more than Solanke in the Premier League. And we need goals. We need goals. I think, listen, I also think with Solanke, with Kudus, with whether we have a new left winger or not, with a Gibbs-White, with a Maddison being a lot more free, I think Solanke scores a lot more goals this season. But can we rely on him in 4 cup competitions? We need strength in depth in that area, and we have not got a recognised, established goal scorer, have we?
No, we haven't. I think that, again, is the problem at the moment, and which is why, again, we're seeing Tottenham in the market looking for, you'd arguably say, midfield options. I think what's quite interesting, Brian, you bring up there about the forward options. Are you surprised that we heard Frank say after the Reading game that he's not really looking at forward targets at the moment? Does that surprise you, Brian, or is he bluffing us?
You just never know, do you? You never know. If that's what Frank wants to do, that's what Frank wants to do, and fine by me. Like we said, we know he can develop, but with Richarlison, it's always the injuries. It is always the injuries, and hopefully, I'm hoping that is a little bit keep your cards under the table, or keep your cards close to your chest. Should I say? Keep your cards under the table. Keep your cards close to your chest.
With Richarlison, just keep him away from anything that could cause an injury.
Exactly that. So I think we will be in for a striker. I think if someone said you're going into the Champions League and your strikers are Dominic Solanke, Richarlison, and Lancashire, with no disrespect to him, he's a young guy trying to make it, and I think he will within years to come. That's not going to terrify Champions League teams, is it?
No, it doesn't. And you're already giving me now concern by the fact that you're just saying that. And again, me thinking now, I know we're only mid-July, and I appreciate there's still a long time to go in the window, but I think, before you know it, Brian, the Super Cup final is going to be here. And that's going to come around so quick for Tottenham. Again, we've got Luton at the weekend. That's then followed by a London derby, North London derby against Arsenal. And obviously we've got this Korean tour. We've got Bayern Munich on the horizon. Before you know it, you blink, the Super Cup final is here. So going to be interesting as to how Tottenham are going to handle themselves in the next few weeks. I do appreciate fans out there that are concerned, because we've got rights to be concerned. As you know, as well as anyone, Brian, there's 20 years of history here that does suggest, when it comes to transfers with Tottenham, normally we go out of a window. Well, normally we come out of a window always wanting more. Can you remember a time, Brian Dagul, that you've come out really feeling we've got exactly what we want or exactly what we need? No. I know many clubs don't ever always feel that, but normally when you come out of a window, you feel, quite confident for the season. Have you ever felt really that we've got enough to go? Ready?
I can't really remember one, to be honest. I really can't. Obviously, we had Pochettino when he brought Wanyama in, and obviously I think Janssen came that window as well. Wanyama was a magnificent signing, absolute colossal. But I can't remember a window. That's not me being because of money. I just can't remember one where we haven't been left short somewhere and haven't addressed an area. We look how long with the Poch team, how long it's taken to replace the greats that have left that team. I can't remember a time, but I think I've taken a bang to the head because I'm so calm. I've been so calm.
Quite concernedly, concernedly, Paul suggested in 1978. Is that the last time Paul's come out of a transfer window feeling that he's been happy?
The year before I was born. So there you go. That just goes to show what we're talking about.
Oh, keep the lights of Dominic Calvert-Lewin away and Wilson, God help us. Wilson. Right, we're going to move on to another midfield target that's been rearing its head over the last 24 hours. Again, I'll be honest with this one, I'll be massively, massively surprised if this could potentially happen, just given the fact of the player, who he is, the club he's at. But we understand Tottenham are showing tentative interest in Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo. United are apparently willing to sell the midfielder, despite him having shown a lot of promise in his 72 appearances for the first team. Critically, United are yet to lock down Kobbie Mainoo to a new contract. That's despite more than 12 months of negotiating the player's deal. Now, he's got a clear ability, potential and importance to what the club have been trying to do. He had big moments for United, of course, in their shirt. He scored the FA Cup final winning goal, which made him an instant hero with his sitting considered world class. There was very quick mentions of him being a generational talent around Old Trafford, highly regarded, but after struggles really in the 24-25 season, Manu had been tipped to improve under Ruben Amorim and unfortunately didn't really see that progression last season. And there are a lot of players that we know United are looking to try and actively move on to bolster their own funds. It must be worth saying they've signed Cunha this summer. They've signed Mbeumo this summer. So it does feel that at United there is going to be somewhat of a fire sale where we're going to see a number of players potentially leave the football club. It is worth mentioning that Chelsea are keeping a watching brief on the player. And I think this one here, Brian, I don't know if you agree. I just, for me, talented player. Yes, you look at someone like him under Frank and what Frank can do to players. You'd most certainly feel he could develop, he could improve him. But is it a realistic target for you, Brian Kobbie Mainoo? Can you see him in a Tottenham shirt?
I think the guy has unbelievable potential. I think when we saw what he did in the Euros, as you said, he can be unbelievable. Again, it's weird that this just shows the Spurs what direction are we going when we're talking about PALHINHA for the experience, and then going straight back to someone at the other end of the scale for Mainoo. I think he could be a great player wherever he goes. Obviously, he didn't get a lot of game time last season. I think it's too much. He's from what I was listening with Ben and Sim this morning. He was offered a contract of 120 grand and he's turned it down one in 170 or something. I mean, obviously, when the way we look at transfers and when the youngsters come in, I don't think that's going to happen any stretch of the imagination.
Wait until he gets into Daniel Levy's office. He'll fall through the floor when he finds out what that contract might be.
Exactly. And 120 work, but I think he has unbelievable potential. I just don't think it's something we can pull off. And then it just goes back to what does this do to Archie Gray, your Bergvaus, your Sars? It really, we're so heavily stacked there. If we had the choice, him or PALHINHA, it was one or the other. It's PALHINHA for me.
Yeah, no, look, I think I do agree. I think obviously with Mainoo, it's a slightly different position in terms of what he does play. We can't get away from that. And I think, again, this will be a case where for Tottenham, it goes back to what you said earlier, Brian, where there needs to be a priority on what the positions are. And I just think right now, that I can't speak for all the fan base. No, you can't either. But I think if you were to poll a lot of Tottenham fans in saying, right now, what would the fans feel is the most important position to deal with? I think a lot of fans would say that number 6. I think there would still be concerns about the forward areas. Maybe arguably say when you might need another left back, that might be, again, an area that Tottenham would look to cover. But I do feel this number 6 role has been so pressing for so long because I feel like last time we was here, And we were all saying, I think a lot of fans were suggesting and saying, we need to get somebody in that number 6 role that is going to really help this team to dig in, but also carry the ball up the pitch. So, whilst Mainoo is an exciting young player that has no doubt got potential, when you look at someone like Thomas Frank, and that really is what Frank has built his career off, about making players realise their potential.
Yep.
Would you like to see the strategic focus being now really moving to that number 6 and hopefully accelerating these talks for PALHINHA in the coming days?
I think what looks about it, Ricky, as well, is it depends what type of 6 we need now. Because under Ange Postecoglou and the way we're playing, you would have needed a destroyer. You would have needed a Wanyama, a Palacios, a Scotty Parker, because of the kind of football we're playing. I think now, will Thomas Frank want more of a Michael Carrick and a ball playing Willie? That's where we need to see, because obviously Frank will play a multiple of formations. And is it going to be with just one deep line in midfield or a double pivot? Is it going to be... So I think the number 6 is a crucial position. It's now a case of what type of number 6 do we need? And that's where, for me, this needs to be focused, or what the focus is on me. It depends what type of number 6 Thomas Frank wants. Like what he had with Norgard. Does he want a Norgard? Does he want a strong, dominant...
Brian, just on Norgard, that player there, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, and I know he's gone down to our neighbours down the road.
Yep.
There's nothing glamorous about Norgard. He's there just to do the job, break up play,
Correct.
Feed the wingers, feed the midfielders, just literally do that job, break up play. So, again, I think you make a very interesting point there. It's really what Frank, as you said, wants his number 6 to be. Mm-hmm. Is he looking for a destroyer? Is he looking for more of a ball-playing player? And the thing is, you said there, you ruled out so many of the kind of players that we've had in number 6, from Scotty Parker through to Michael Carrick to Wilson Palacios, of course. When you look back at some of the players we've had, it's quite a unique position that, for us at certain times, it's been the key cornerstone, hasn't it? I mean, Sandro as well, we had there for a period. I mean, is that what you feel could maybe make or break the summer for Tottenham in terms of the profile of player we get in that position when we do get someone? Because I feel like this window, if we don't get a number 6, I feel like the fan base are going to potentially erupt. I mean, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as well, all those number 6s that we mentioned, when they were there, we had extremely good seasons with them. That kind of area and leaking goals wasn't the main problem, because there was somewhere to protect the defence. There was someone to break the stuff down and get it out to the creative players. So I think a number 6 position is always vital for Tottenham. You look at, in fact, since the Vieiras, the Keanes, or whatever, I think it's a fundamentally important position in English football.
And we can't also forget, obviously, Moussa Dembele, but I would argue Dembele, really, for me, I would say Dembele played a little bit more further forward. I'd say at times Dembele was more of an 8, was obviously a 10. I mean, the thing with Dembele is he started as a centre forward and we dropped him back. I mean, that guy, again, Brian Dembele, what a player he was, right? If we could find someone of his ilk, God, right?
If only he would... Him in this team now, in his pomp, we're sorted. We would be sorted.
Close the window now in that area. We wouldn't need to worry about it.
Exactly. It's a position we need to fill. Yeah. And do you know what happens? We've looked at it as Spurs fans, whether it be we needed a replacement for Dele Alli, we needed a replacement for Eriksen, we needed a replacement for Vertonghen. We always take a little while, don't we? But then when we get it, we're like, oh yes, thank God we finally got this done. Yeah. I think the 6 is the position since Ange Postecoglou, because he didn't play that style or didn't use that position. It's become the position that we fundamentally want to get solved, isn't it?
Agree. I don't want everyone fall off their chair, but can we talk about an actual signing, Brian? Because there actually has been
the big one.
The one we've all been waiting for. It's taken us right into the show, but Tottenham have made a signing, and that is of the nature of Oliver Boast, who has joined our academy from Leeds United. I did feel for Oliver. I think at the time of his move being linked to Tottenham, I can't remember, Brian, if you can remember what was going on social media at that time, but I think we was either in the verge of missing out on a player, or there was a certain speculation that was happening, and then Oliver's move was being pretty much put through the grapevine. And it didn't go down too well. But listen, we wish him all the very, very best for the future. 16-year-old England youth international, links up with our under-18s as a first-year scholar, joining the initial 10 young players who went full-time with us in that year group at the start of this month. talented centre forward. He joined Leeds at the age of 8 years old. He progressed through the ranks there, becoming a regular for their under-18s last term, despite still being a schoolboy. He scored a hat-trick in a 4-0 home win over Wolves under-18s in April, a month which also saw him make his debut for the Whites under-21s, aged just 15. On the international stage, Ollie has represented both England under-15s and under-16s to date. I know, Brian, people hate this word, but he's a promising player for the future.
Yep, we've got the Irish striker Amelia coming in. We're stacked again in this area. Archie Gray will be able to welcome him in. It's always good to hear us signing youngsters.
Yeah, of course.
It's always good. I think when this went through Ricky is when all the takeover talk started, if I remember correctly. This is obviously another. We're going to say, are we? We're going to say it's another one for the future. This should really. I mean, I can guarantee Spurs fans are going nuts on social media about it. It's got nothing to do with the first team and the development of the first team or funds to the first team.
No.
From what you said, it looks like he's done very well at Leeds.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll see what he's got at Tottenham. There are a few strikers coming through at Tottenham, obviously, that we've got. And this is just another one. So what do you say he is? 16?
16 years old.
Okay, so nearer 2030, we'll come back and we'll start talking. We'll start boasting about the stream we did announcing his arrival. But it's another young kid through the door and wish him well.
I think, right, if we're in 2030, I want to find that picture, but it's of those two skeletons that are Tottenham dressed and that have gone through the ringer of every transfer window until 2030. I think we'll both be finished off. But look, I think that really wraps up where we are so far in this transfer window. Brian, it's been a pleasure. I know me and you could speak for absolute hours. Please tell the unbelievable nearly 10,000 of you that are watching the show live. Thank you so much for incredible support. Brian, where can everybody find Tottenham on tour? What is coming up over there?
First of all, Ricky, thanks for having me on again. It's a pleasure speaking with you and the Last Word on Spurs family. Pleasure. Hope everyone is getting well in there. Yeah, like I said, Tottenham on Tour are doing things normally every Monday, every Friday, but I'm going to start doing a few late night shows for the North American and other time zones around the world, being based in Toronto. We will be aiming to get daily content out. But it's at the moment 3 or 4 times a week Tottenham on Tour have content out. And people who may think I just talk about my arch nemesis, forget it. I only talk about that now when it needs to be done. I am absolutely Mr. Positivity when it comes to Thomas Frank. I'm his first line of defence.
Can I say to back you up? I think you was on here with me last, I want to say...
February.
Was it March, February that you was last on here? And I remember asking you at the time when there was the whole manager talk and doing the ringer. The one man you said at the time that you wanted was Thomas Frank. And here he is.
Yep, he's there. And then I wanted Morgan Gibbs-White. And then if the takeover goes through, then my job is done.
Steady on, Brian. You can't have everything, for God's sake.
My work is done. I waited 18 years and then all 3 came at once. No, but like I said, we've got some regular content coming out. Ricky, it's honestly a big pleasure coming on and speak with you and the Last Word on Spurs family.
Bless you. We've been likened to Bentancur and Collini. God, if we have a window like that, Brian, we can all pack up and go home for a good 3 years, can't we?
Damn right. Bring it Rome.
Love that.
It's coming Rome, sorry.
Fantastic. Listen, please make sure you go over to Tottenham on Tour, hit that subscribe button. They've got lots coming your way. Last Word on Spurs. Providing we get the content in terms of the news, we'll be bringing you daily transfer updates. At the same time, we want to be bringing you, of course, hopefully positive news that Tottenham are moving in the market. As always, thank you so much for all your overwhelming support for Last Word on Spurs. We're with you every step of the way, from myself, from the wonderful Brian Dagul. Please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on, you.